Ladies and gentlemen, it is your boy Rico back at it again, ready to bring you a new episode, a new series. This is the BF War Room. This is a series that you are going to see every single week until draft time, where we will bring up prospects that we feel is the best fit or surprise fit for our Buffalo Bills. I mean, time is of the essence right now, so we've got to be doing our homework. I'm sure Bean and company are doing their homework to find out who is the best rookie prospect to bring on to this Bills squad. So before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to each and every one of you guys tuned in to the BF War Room. This is a new segment, and each and every week there will be a different host with different BF contributors, where we will be talking about our favorite prospects and sometimes even debating. So today we are going to jump into the linebacker room. With recent news about Matt Milano being given the opportunity to go ahead and, I guess, shop himself around. And guess what? That's what he's going to do. And there's a big chance that he may not return. Now, if he wants to win, he should return. He may have to take a little less cash flow. But this is going to be a second contract. You want to try to get yourself into the bag, the money. But I'm not a draft guru. That's why I brought some friends with me that can ease and educate me, right? And without further ado, I'm gonna invite some folks with me. So I'm gonna invite one of our contributors, one of our writers, Mr. BF Spy himself, Erich Schmidt. There it is, Erich Schmidt. How are we doing today, man?
Doing fantastic. It's a pleasure to be here, Rico. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. So I'm expecting you to enlighten me on these draft prospects that we bring into Buffalo. So I thank you for tuning in and joining us.
We're gonna light it up. We're gonna light it up.
We're gonna light it up.
Linebacker Christmas right now.
Let's go. We have ourselves another guest. This guest. He's a two-time guest. He was on with me last night. He's back at it again. Hey, there he is, Mr. Zach Vaughn. What's going on, Zach?
Hello, I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. We have you here once again to break down some LBs, and I'm not talking about these COVID LBs that we've been putting on. We're talking about the linebackers that potentially could make their way to Western New York, or the only New York team that matters. That's the Buffalo Bills. And last but not least, there's been quite a bit of request. There's been people banging at my door saying, "Yo, bring this guy on. I love to hate him," is what a lot of people like to say to me. And without further ado, it's our guy Kevin.
I love to hate him. That sounds like all my ex-girlfriends.
There you go. I love to hate him.
I'm glad you didn't introduce me right after Eric, but he's got that deep grumble. You know what I mean? Like it was a man's voice.
Oh yeah.
And then I came on, and I'm a real soft-spoken. So
hi, Kevin.
Zach and I, we're quieter guys. You know, we just get by on our looks.
And that's okay. You're allowed to get by on your looks. I mean, when you can get by on your looks, man, you get a lot more things coming your way. So I appreciate that. So, gentlemen, we are here. This is the BF War Room, is the Buffalo Fanatics War Room, where we bring up prospects. We talk about the prospects, and we are heading into the linebacking room. Not the sexiest position, but it's a very important position. We just lost. I mean, I can't say we just lost. We potentially may have lost Matt Milano. Now, before we get into our prospects, are you anticipating Matt Milano to be gone for good? Eric, I'll start with you.
I am. I think if he tests free agency, just like often happens in free agency, a team is probably going to overpay for him. We've seen that plenty of times in recent years, and even farther back if you want to look farther back. The fact of the matter is, money's tight, space is tight, cap space is an issue this upcoming season, and if the Bills get outbid by another team who's willing to give Milano something in his price range or even above that range, I can't see Brandon Beane matching it. Oftentimes when Brandon Beane says to a player, I'm going to give you the opportunity to test free agency, it's usually a way of saying goodbye. That's what happened last year with Jordan Phillips. So I think that Bills fans need to be prepared for that.
And you know what? I really like that assessment because it's not looking good, but there's a chance. Zach, is there a chance that you feel he might come back and you feel that that's where he needs to be with Buffalo?
I would say that I'm like 98% sure he's gone because somebody's going to pay him $14-15 million a year, and the Bills can't afford that. But there is a chance that, given the COVID cap and all that, that maybe the free agent market is being overestimated by everyone right now, and that really the contracts given out probably could not end up being where everyone expects. So maybe there is a possibility that Milano could come back, and it would be like maybe a 1-year deal just to like get back on the team and then go into free agency next year with a presumably higher cap. But for the most part, he's probably gone.
You know what? It's sad, but it could be a reality. Now, you mentioned something about we as fans may be overhyping this free agency, thinking that these guys are going to get paid. Kevin, is Matt Milano worth $14 million?
Well, I don't know. It's tough to pay any off-ball linebacker $14 million, but I mean, comparative to the peers and the other guys on what his direct competition, I guess, would be Levante David. If David's going to get 13-14, then Milano's probably about $1 million under that. So what happens with David will probably set the market.
Is Milano overrated?
Depends how you look at him. You know, if you're an outsider and you're looking at him, you look at him as a very good linebacker. He's, he definitely, your run defense picked up when he came back. He's good at covering tight ends. He's fairly athletic, his former safety convert. So I think he's an excellent player. But I know fan bases tend to maybe overrate their own players a little bit. So I'll let you guys speak on that. But from the outside looking in, I think he's really good.
Speaking of the fan base, if I may, Rico.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is kind of to tack on to something that Zach kind of got into a little bit. This might be something that a lot of people don't realize. Early in Milano's career, he was on One Bills Live, and this was very early in his career. One Bills Live was doing that sort of thing where they kind of feel out, what is this player like? What's his personality? What can we show Bills Mafia about who this player is? One of the things that came up during that interview that I found very interesting was that Matt Milano is a minimalist. That's how he lives his life. Okay. What that means is that he doesn't really care about materialistic things. He likes simple things. He likes to live his life in a very plain way. That helps him focus and those kinds of things. He doesn't spend money. He doesn't necessarily care for it or not care for it. So from my perspective, I don't believe in the concept of hometown discounts, but given the kind of personal trait that this is, that might lead me to believe that if he values playing for the Buffalo Bills more than he does a large contract, maybe that plays into his decision making. So it's just a factor. It doesn't determine anything. It's not it's not something you can measure. It's one of those intangibles, but nonetheless, it's interesting.
All right. So now this now is a great segue because now it allows me to ask Zach. We may lose Milano. So out of our 5 prospects that we've brought up, who reminds you or who is the closest to the skill set of Matt Milano between Jabril, Parsons, JOK, Hansa, Chancellor, and Zaven Collins?
Well, I would say the closest, it's actually almost like a 3-way tie. It would probably be Surratt, Cox, and Hansa. Hansa, yes, he's a safety, but he can play that linebacker position. He has a similar build. Cox is very much the same type of linebacker. He's actually a little heavier, actually, so that might be a benefit to him. I guess we'll get into it a little more as we talk about him, but I personally really love Hansa. I just really love that idea of having someone who can cover linebackers or cover tight ends, receivers and running backs out of that one position and not having to make a sub to get into the dime package.
Wonderful. So now I'm gonna get into it. So we're gonna put some footage on here, and this here is Penn State LB. I'm gonna kick it off to Kevin. Kev, talk to me.
Micah Parsons?
We're going to talk about Mr. Parsons here. And he's one of the top linebackers that people are looking at right now. And I want your thoughts. How does a player like him fit in with Buffalo?
He's not a direct replacement for Milano, right? Because Milano is more of he's another former safety convert from Boston College. He's a little bit lighter. Milano's more of a coverage guy. What Parsons would bring to you is he's much more adept at rushing the passer. Parsons is more physically on par with like an Edmonds than he is a Milano. Parsons is a vastly superior athlete to Milano. He's not as instinctive, and it sounds like he's a bit of an a-hole, and he's got some problem. Like he's got a bit of trouble, I hear.
Right.
And he might drop in the draft boards due to that. There's been some hazing incidents and things like that. But those off-field issues are the only reason we're talking about Parsons. Because if Parsons didn't have those issues, he's a top 10 pick. I still think he might go somewhere like Atlanta might take him real early. I doubt he gets past New England. But if the off-field issues are worse than we think, then this is a spot where you might, if he ever does drop, I think you run the card in. I think he's an elite athlete. And if he ever made it to 30, but I mean, keep in mind, Bean traded up for Tremaine Edmonds, right? And he's kind of that type of caliber of athlete. Man, look at this guy.
Zach, would you agree with that assessment?
Oh, yeah, that was exactly what I was thinking. Like size-wise, he's more of an Edmonds, and that he does have some athleticism, and he could be a very nice addition in the pass rush, especially when I think about how they used Edmonds and Klein in the middle of the season when they started coming out in that bare nickel look where they had the one linebacker on the line and then doing the pass rush like that. If you could get Parsons in there instead of AJ Klein, that would be a bit of an upgrade. But I would also be hesitant to maybe use him as a replacement for Milano because he is more of an Edmonds. He's not that rangier, shiftier guy that you would usually associate with that off linebacker position, or at least as far as I know about Milano, having seen him play for the past 4 years.
So here's the thing. I've heard the rumblings about this, where can we move on from having Edmonds as the middle linebacker, just move him to the offset, give him weak side linebacker and get a true thumper of a middle linebacker and let Milano let Edmonds just roam free. Out of these prospects, who's good enough? And this is for any of you guys. Who's good enough to stick to the middle and allow Edmonds to now take, I guess, Milano's role?
Parsons and Collins.
Collins.
Yeah, Collins is like 260 pounds. He can play middle linebacker, and Parsons can play middle linebacker. They're the 3-down linebackers that you're looking for. You know what I mean? That can affect all phases of the game.
Another thing on Micah Parsons, and this is one thing I noticed in my research after looking at some of his statistics all week, he is absolutely a killer on third down, which is a problem for the Bills defense. Micah Parsons is lethal on third down. He had the highest percentage of tackles and stops and penetrations on third down. So that is something that I guarantee will be attractive to Sean McDermott.
And I'll say that. Sorry.
Go ahead, Zach.
I would say this about Zaven Collins. I know you just showed a few of those plays that when I was looking at film too, and I had been hearing some comparisons to Lorenzo Alexander. I watched the film. I totally get it. He is like Lorenzo if he was more athletic. Nothing against Lorenzo. I love him, but he wasn't the best in coverage. I remember that one play where he gave up a touchdown to the tight end against New England late in the season in 2019. But anyways, Zaven Collins, it's insane that someone who's like 250, 260 pounds can move that quick and be that athletic and be able to pass rush and cover. And when I see him doing those picks, I literally think making those interceptions, I kind of think he's almost like a perfect Madden user linebacker. So maybe he could fill that middle linebacker role and allow Edmonds to be the one who roams free, comes in on the blitzes. But I think you could even use Zaven Collins on the blitz as well. So maybe you're able to interchange them both.
He's also got, his football IQ is next level. He's the kind of anticipatory player that can see things before they're happening, quite literally. And that's why sometimes he's able to get these penetrations so quick when you add that to his explosiveness.
Zaven Collins listed at 6'4", 261 pounds. I'm not gonna front. I think I like something like that in Buffalo. That bruiser of an LB, and allow Edmonds to go sideline to sideline. I think that's his strength. That speed. But this Collins character, my goodness, I think would be an ideal candidate to be part of the Bills. Kevin, does he fall to 30?
Collins?
Yes.
Doubtful. It's possible. I hope he doesn't fall past 18.
Why is that, Kevin?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe another team's picking at 18. But it's, anything's possible. I would assume that he's the second linebacker off the board. Whereas it's just with him and Parsons, it's easy to see where you're going to play them. Whereas a guy like JOK, you need a plan for him, right? Because of his size. I see in the comments, though, a lot of people are mentioning Nick Bolton. If you're going to go, Rico, with your plan of moving Edmonds to weak side linebacker, right, and getting a true Mike, I don't know, he's not one of the guys, but Bolton is a guy. Easily falls to 30. I don't know, man. But yeah, Bolton would be a guy that would be there.
Speaking of Bolton as kind of a wild card here, I mean, some say he's arguably the best zone coverage linebacker in this draft. And let's keep it in perspective. The Bills play a lot of zone, so if you're going to look at Nick Bolton for that, it's a great thing. Also, his leadership skills that points to being a process type player.
So there's that word again.
So let's just keep it in perspective as far as Nick Bolton's concerned.
So I've got my guy. Is he a process prospect?
Process. It could be. Pepe Laugh says Zaven Collins might fall to us at 30 if we can keep Milano, move Edmonds outside, put Collins at the middle. That would be nice. I don't think that's going to happen, sir. It is
not a Mike,
but not happening. Here's a player that I really want your thoughts on. LSU linebacker Jibril Cox. All right, Eric, I'm gonna bounce that over to you. I want your thoughts on Jibril Cox. Talk to me about that.
Jabril Cox is my dream linebacker for the Bills in this draft. There's nobody I want more than Jabril Cox for the Bills as a linebacker. And the two most important words that Bills Mafia needs to know when it comes to Jabril Cox is pursuit and coverage. That is what Jabril Cox can do. He is an absolute threat remover when it comes to tight ends, as you just saw there in that clip, and gadget type players. He will literally lock the middle of the field up. He's an excellent tackler, and he has blistering speed. At 6'3", 233 pounds, that's a little bit heavier than Milano. And Jibril Cox is just cerebral, and he comes from a college that consistently produces great linebackers, and I mean great linebackers. Does anybody remember a guy maybe named Devin White?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, what we're looking at here is his protege. So let's remember that. Jibril Cox is exactly what you want in Buffalo. You're not going to find a linebacker, in my opinion, a true linebacker that's as good in the pursuit as you will with Jibril Cox. So he's my ultimate pick for the Bills. He is the process at linebacker.
I like that. Well, we have our resident draft guru himself. I mean, I'm giving him a lot of love when I say that. Mr. Steve Judge Mathis, that he says he keeps trying to get me on telling people that JJ Watt is Steve's daddy. I know he's gonna try to get me on that one, but we're not gonna try this time, Steve. So Steve says it's Surratt season. Give me Chaz in round 2, and if we didn't have Hodgins, I'd want Sage too. Well, listen, we'll get into that. But Kevin, Jibril Cox, are you impressed?
Of the 5 guys that we're talking about today, I too want the Bills to take Jabril Cox. He has he's outstanding in coverage. He is, but he has some trouble against the run. He has trouble sometimes understanding his assignments unless it's straight up man coverage. He has trouble disengaging from blockers, and he doesn't present much in the way of a pass rush threat. He's good, but the other guys, and in another draft, I might be, like really high. Are we talking about Cox like in the first round at 30, or are we talking about if you got him in the second round? If you got Cox,
he's got a 2 to 5 round grade.
Yeah. So if
third.
you were to get Cox like second, third, or something, then okay, I'm on board.
That's where I'm looking at it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you're talking at 30,
no.
Yeah, no. But
no.
But I definitely.
Let me make that clear. That's not what. No.
Okay, no, that makes more sense. And I'm good with that. Yeah.
Okay, well, Zach, are you on board with what these guys are talking about here? Because we're going to move on to the next process, but I want your thoughts on Jibril Cox, the LSU product. I mean, these guys they create machines at LSU. Could he not put on a couple pounds and take on that role?
Oh, definitely, he could do that. He can come in. I love Cox. I love what he's able to do.
That's not.
I know.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, but even just adding on to the fact that he just came out of LSU, he's coming out of LSU. He did his first three years as a football player. He was at North Dakota State, so he did a lower tier competition, dominated at that level, and then transferred over and basically got a master's degree over at LSU. And he seems like that type of guy that's pretty good in the pursuit, pretty good in the coverage. He can anticipate. He is who I would want them to replace Milano with outside of Nasiral. And again, once we get to him, I'll get into my little spiel about him.
Absolutely.
One last thing on Jabril Cox too, like to kind of add on to Kevin's point, to add on to what Tilt just commented. I don't necessarily want him for his pass rush. I want him to shut down tight ends. I want him to track Travis Kelce. That's what I need from Jibril Cox. I need him to shut down people in coverage. I need him to completely lock off a certain part of the field from the quarterback. And that's my biggest attraction for Jibril Cox, is that he can be a Milano replacement and possibly even be better sooner than Milano. So that's the thing.
I'm gonna jump in on real quick on this Jibril Cox character. I don't see any pop. For me, I don't see the pop that Erich that you may see in him. I see, like, on film, light. He plays light. He may be 6'4", 230, but he doesn't play like he's 6'4", 230. The smaller JOK plays like a heavier player. I want somebody that brings the meat, that brings the beef. You feel me? Pause once again. But you guys catch what I'm saying. I need somebody that comes in and lays that lumber. When you feel contact from this person, right? But Jibril, good player. I can see why he's in that 2 to 5 range of where he'd be chosen. But if we take him at 30, I know some people are like, "Yo, I'm okay with taking at 30," but I just can't see myself being like thrilled. I'd be like Kevin in our draft party last year, losing my ish. Who did they pick, Kevin? When you just lost your bananas?
They took Raekwon Davis.
Ironically,
he had a really good year. I was like, fuck, I wanted Ashton Davis really badly. Because I wanted Winfield Jr. and we took Diggs' whooping boy there, Igbenogany in 30. And then I was like, no. And then I was like, all right, well, we'll take him in round 2. And then we didn't. And then we took Steve's, the judge's guy there, my right tackle, who turned out he was pretty good too. But and then when I was like, well, they better get Ashton Davis because this is the last elite safety we can get. And they took Raekwon Davis.
You didn't you weren't too pleased about that.
I was very happy that Pierre taped it, clipped it, and then tagged all of the Miami Dolphins sites, and me losing my mind to it.
Absolutely.
And like everyone was like, it was a nice 48 hours.
Yeah, it was. And you best believe that Zach Vaughn's about to get his audio clipped from him loving Jibril. very much.
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
Yeah.
Here's something to add on to Rico's point. So like I've seen, Rico's talked about this before in post games. He's talked about it during the week. Other guys that do shows for Buffalo Fanatics have as well. The Bills defense has been accused of playing soft many, many times. And I'm not talking about, Easter peep soft. I'm talking about melted butter soft.
There you go.
Like just nothing, just soft, just completely devoid of any testosterone, just blah, just like that. So what I think we need is we need hyper aggression. I think that's the word you're looking for, Rico.
Hyper aggression is what you're saying. So let's talk about it then. Zach, you know who this player is. This is one player that I do want to get your input on. Let's get to it. This is Chancellor. Zach, you're on the button, man. Talk to me about this guy.
Well, what I can say is that I know he's very popular in the BF chats. He's very popular in the mock drafts. Everyone really likes him. He's a former quarterback, so he has some of that instinct. He kind of knows what a quarterback could think. He's still He's played the last 2 years at linebacker. He's still kind of developing in there, and that he does have the athleticism I would love in a linebacker. But again, he's only been a linebacker for 2 years. He's kind of, for me, I kind of think like Dawson Knox, in that he is transitioning into that new position. Now, of course, he has more experience in his new position than Knox did at Ole Miss at tight end, but he's still trying to figure things out. And from some of the film that I saw, he seems to have some issues getting off of blocks. Sometimes he may not be the best at anticipation. I know he could probably work on that stuff. But also, when you're in a championship window, do you really want to take the time to develop a guy who's coming into a starting role as he is, that's still trying to figure out the position? Or do you want someone who knows what to do, where to be, someone who's been in that position or played a similar position and can come up and just day one plug and chug in the defense? So I'm not
think about where we are as a franchise, right?
Yeah.
When you're asking that question.
Exactly. I'm not saying that I wouldn't like him. I'm saying that I think that there are a few of the other prospects that I would put ahead of him based on the fact they've been in the position longer and they know what to do. They have the experience.
See, when I look at Surratt, and I'm never going to pretend to be a guru and I know my draft prospects. I mean, I got to do my homework. Obviously, he gives me a little bit of the feel of that Fred Warner, a little bit, slightly, not all, not. Just gives me that vibe of a Fred Warner from San Fran. So if he's that guy, and the way Fred Warner's been playing, one of the better linebackers in the game, if we could get Surratt in the second, man, that's a steal in my opinion. Yeah. Kevin, are you a fan of Surratt, or do you know much about him? Are you still learning on Surratt?
Yeah, of everyone we're talking about today, he's like the one I know the least about. I know that he was 4 for 10 with 3 interceptions in his last quarterback appearance, but and he was the starter for the freshman year for North Carolina. But I saw that. First off, I just want to my condolences to. I saw one of the
Dave
the comments. Yeah, Dave. So I hope Dave's back's feeling better. He's been carrying the draft guys all off season. So. There's a lot of weight on his shoulders, I'll tell you that. But if I had to grade him, because we're not allowed to use grades, we have to use emoticons now. That's what Steve's telling me. So I give him a big thumbs up. But there he is.
Yeah, I got you.
What is this photo from 1981? But anyways, yes, Surratt. I see what you're saying. He's like the convert. He's got a bit more of a learning curve. I don't know. He's got the athleticism to do it. I watched him play. He played pretty well against Miami, like University this year. But I don't know. Like if he's in a third, maybe. But I think it was Eric mentioned it. It's what window are you in, right? And you guys are in a win now window. If you guys are if the Jets pick him in the second or third round, it's a great pick. If I love Steve. But if if you guys pick him, I don't know. Like, do you guys want to wait a couple years for him to learn? But the talent's there.
See, my man Bobby says, stay away from hybrid linebackers. He's not a big fan. He doesn't like it. He wants a linebacker that is meant for the role. Are you a thumper of a linebacker or you're a coverage linebacker? I don't need this in between tweener type of linebacker. He says to stay away.
Jesus, but his next comment.
Unless you're depends on who you're like.
Put up his next comment. At 8:30.
This one here?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, Milano was a safety in college for Boston College and was a linebacker convert.
Get him, Kev.
You can't tell me you don't like linebacker converts and then put up a comment 30 seconds later saying
and not only
convert is better than the Pro Bowl starting middle linebacker.
And not only that, but I have one name. Bobby. I have one name for a hybrid linebacker here. Let's talk about Isaiah Simmons for the Cardinals. This man played every position on the defense at Clemson except for D tackle. Mm-hmm. This guy played defensive line, and he's 220 pounds.
Brian Urlacher.
He played defensive end at 220 pounds. Isaiah Simmons is a freak. Now, I will say this. Not every hybrid is a freak like that. But that's who I think you're dreaming of when you talk about Chancellor, when you talk about Hansa. You're dreaming of Isaiah Simmons.
Now hold that thought, because you mentioned freak athlete. And most might think that this gentleman here is a freak athlete, 6'4", 6'5", right? So talk to me about this guy, Hamza, 220 pounds, a little light, but is he a linebacker or is he a safety? Let's talk about it.
I have him penned in as a hybrid. And I even wrote in my notes, dreaming Isaiah Simmons, literally, quote, that's what I wrote in my notes. And the thing is with Hansa Nasiral is, yes, he's a safety, but he has the skill set to be a successful hybrid. And better yet, his scheme fit as far as 4-3, 3-4, where you put him on the field, it's universal. That you can compare him to Isaiah Simmons in that regard. That comparison is fair and it is accurate. He is a universal scheme fit. You can plug him in anywhere in the defense, pretty much except for D tackle, and he will perform. Just like I said with Jibril Cox, I also granted Hansa with that metric. He is a threat remover. So if that's what you want in your defense, Hansa will provide that for you. But what I think is critical when it comes to Hansa is your linebackers coach and your defensive coordinator capable of implementing the protocols and the movements and the calls that it's going to take to get him to execute that hybrid set of plays successfully. So it's capabilities and limitations, just like me and Zach read about in the SPY draft articles. What's your capabilities versus what are your limitations? What can you do for me? What can my team give you? Where can we elevate you to? Can we take you higher, Judge? Can we take him higher? So can we take Hansa higher, and can he take us higher? So it's kind of that blend. You got to blend it together, mix it up in the mixing bowl, and see what you come out with.
I like that. I mean, at 6'5", here's the thing, man. I hear that Hamza is a safety, and he'd be a rangy safety. He can run, and if you need him to, get in the box and be that Kyle Duggar type player that we wanted the year prior, maybe Hamza's that guy. I don't know what range he's in, but we're losing a linebacker. So to me, is Hamza a true linebacker? I want a true linebacker. Is he a linebacker? Zach, are you good with him?
Well, I first want to say this, and it's going to be probably a little bit of a spicy take. Remember Cam Chancellor, the legendary safety?
Okay.
If he were playing today, he'd be a linebacker. I am 100% sure he'd be playing linebacker in today's NFL. I view Hansa Nasiral as a baby Cam Chancellor. I know someone else had said he's almost like Jamal Adams, but with better coverage and not as good in pass rushing, which I don't care about. I don't care if you have a pass rushing linebacker in a 4-3 / a nickel base. But I would even say this, maybe for those of you who don't like the thought of a hybrid linebacker or a safety playing linebacker, think of it this way. Maybe instead of a nickel, they're running a big dime instead. Nasiral can cover running backs, receivers, tight ends. He can line up in the slot. He can line up at linebacker. Don't even think of it like that. Just think of it as running the big dime, or as Greg Thompson for Comer 1 calls it, the thick dime. Think of it as the thick dime. The way the NFL's played today, you think about the Chiefs, athleticism all around, playmakers, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins to an extent, though he may or may not still be there next year. You got to be able to match personnel with them. So if you could get someone who is a Swiss Army knife, like an Isaiah Simmons, if you could get a Jeremy Chin, a Kyle Duggar, even Cam Chancellor, someone who has that hit stick ability.
Yes.
Someone you could put in there on all 3 downs without having to sub in or sub out to match and pass coverage. And that's why I say Hansa Nasiral, no matter what. I have a Post-it note that says that on there. That's it. That's why I love him. He has the versatility. He can do that. He can do everything you need in a linebacker, and he could still play as a CB4, as a third safety. Even think about the Chiefs. When they played in the AFC Championship game, you know what they did? 2 corners, 4 safeties. What can the Bills do? You have 3 safeties with Nasiral playing down underneath in the box. You can have Teron Johnson, who, like mentioned before, plays like the biggest guy on the field. He may not be the biggest guy. He plays like the biggest guy. He plays like a safety. So you have your de facto 4 safeties, and you have your 2 corners. Go ahead. Boom.
Also, with Hamza as well, players like him, these hybrid safety linebackers, they're a very, 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 very strong threat pre-snap to the quarterback. The threat of a zone blitz from these types of players can cause false start penalties on the regular. Isaiah Simmons did it consistently this entire past season. Just the threat of him coming on the blitz will cause a false start. So these players, these types of players, even pre-snap, they have usefulness as far as what they can do for you, what they can cause the quarterback to see. It's not easy as it is for a quarterback to throw in those play sets, but when you have these safeties coming up in there and causing all kinds of havoc and creating confusion, it makes it a problem.
So right now, Bobby's on fire right now because he is not a fan of these linebackers. You guys, he doesn't like it. He's like, you guys and these damn hybrid players. He's looking for a true football player. So now it brings me to
the next. Here earlier?
Listen, it brings me to the next linebacker. That's Jeremiah Owusu. I want to
Koromoa.
We're gonna just call him Jock. Jocking on them haters, man. So what's up with my man Jock, man? Are you guys into him? Because to me, I like him. He seems a little lightweight, but he doesn't play like he's lightweight, right? He plays like he's a big time linebacker. So
so Rico, I'll give you this. Like you said earlier about Jibril Cox, that he doesn't give you that pop. I did notice that. Jock does have more pop than Jabril Cox. I will give you that. But ultimately, I gave the edge to Cox because he's a 4.3 fit, because of that speed and that pursuit ability. But Koromoa, I think, has that intensity that Cox lacks. That was an excellent point that you made, Rico. So I do compare the 2 players, although I will say Jock has more of that hyper aggressiveness that we might need to kind of, put our butter back in the refrigerator on defense.
So I'm a fan of Jock. I feel like that dude like you said, intensity, sideline to sideline, and he can cover. He seems like he's a good cover guy, and he can get in and tackle. Kevin, tell me you're a fan of JOK to the Bills.
He gets mocked a lot to Miami, so I really I took a real close look at him. I don't want him. Like, no, you guys can. It depends on the role.
You're gonna pass on that.
Like, if you guys want him and he's gonna be like an overhang safety, or he's gonna play in the hook zones, the guy spent half of his time playing out in the slot. So he's an elite athlete, and he's really good at coverage. So if you want a coverage specialist, yeah, sure, go grab him. I guess you're gonna play Klein then on any sort of rundown because 215 pounds JOK is going to get blown off the ball. He's like he's almost like a faster Jamal Adams. I would say that's like a better comp for him
with better coverage skills.
No, like that's how I put him. Like he's good, he's really good, but is he a 3-down linebacker? I don't know. Like in today's day, if you want to put him, basically call it a nickel and put him as like your nickel guy, then I'm really good with that. Again, I'm not saying I don't think he's a great player, but if you're looking for a straight replacement for Milano, man, I don't know. 215, I just don't know how he's holding up against the run. You're basically playing, if he's on the field with Edmonds, you're basically playing in a dime.
I'm going to give this to Zach. Pierre's like, out of all these linebackers, who has the best instincts? Doesn't matter of the skill, instincts are poor. So who has the best instincts?
Well, from what I've seen in the film, I would say that it's Zaven Collins. Jabril Cox has pretty good instincts as well. I would also say that Hansa Nasiral always seems to be around the ball, even in coverage. I know that some are going to say, oh, he's a safety, but I really think the way the NFL's trending, you got to start forgetting about the conventional positions. You need to get the just athletes out there. And let's remember, Kyle Duggar, Jeremy Chin was on the Pro Bowl ballot, listed at linebacker, not safety.
I know, but you guys do not play the same defenses that these guys play. You guys play a zone-heavy defense, so your safeties are back. You are not playing. You'll roll. What's his name there? Hoyer up every once in a while. He's really good at it. But like when you looked at say like your game plan against the Chiefs, your safeties are playing really deep. So it's a bit of a different situation. Once again, if you're taking one of these guys and you're continuing the scheme that you guys use, you're basically playing in a dime. And that's fine if you're playing, in certain situations and stuff like that. If you were playing if you had a Jamal Adams who's, a safety, but he's playing up in the box all the time, I'll take JOK all day because he's very versatile and stuff like that. But I don't know. In my personal thing, if I was for you guys, I would go with probably Zaven Collins. I think if you wanted to get Nick Bolton, which I see a lot in the comments,
I was going to say.
Yep.
Then he's really good too. I think that Bolton he's probably the most plug-and-play guy, him and Collins, that can step in. I like what you're saying, Zach, and I like the idea of having these matchup pieces and these guys that are specifically tailored to cover these tight ends. But at 30, I don't know.
Here's the thing with me when it comes to here's the thing with me when it comes to instinctual linebackers. If we're talking a Mike linebacker, outside linebacker, one that can play both, I'm looking at Nick Bolton. And the reason why is because he comes from Missouri where they have a very complex zone coverage system. And he is the Mike linebacker in that system, and he does it very, very, very well. He can do the run and the pass. If you're talking about somebody that just plays the outside linebacker position, then I'm looking at Jibril Cox. Zaven Collins is great. He's wonderful. Is excellent football IQ, but I don't know if he has the coverage abilities that I need. I'm not going so far as to say that I want one linebacker who can do one thing. I do want him to have a varied skill set, but like Pierre said, he needs to have good instincts too. And that's why I look at Nick Bolton for that.
Now let me put this out there. I think we all know, if we look at the statistics, we got killed by tight ends this year.
Yeah. That's why it's Jibril Cox.
This guy right here, he has a tight end on his team by the name of Gesicki. Gesicki absolutely destroyed us when he what eight receptions or 11, something of that nature, 131 yards, absolutely killed us. We didn't have an answer for him. So to me, if I'm bringing on a linebacker, I need a linebacker that can cover, but to Pierre's point, that has the instincts, right? So you may not have to, you may not be the best athlete, but if you know where to be and not get beat and get just run out of town, we need a linebacker that's able to do that. And
that's what I'm saying.
Looking at these linebackers, Zaven Collins, Chancellor, Hansa, JOK, Parsons, Jibril, I want an answer from each one of you. Eric, give me one guy out of that list. If not on that list, you give me that one guy that you feel that at linebacker will fit for these Bills, especially because we were poo-poo against covering tight ends.
Okay, so coverage is the asterisk, right? Coverage is the asterisk, right?
Yes, and let me finish this. We got killed by the likes of Travis Kelce. We got killed by freaking tight end from the Colts. What's his name? Nobody knows.
Jack Doyle, Mo Alley Cox.
Dude,
yeah.
Eric,
enough already. We need guys that can cover. We thought it was Edmonds, but Edmonds is he's here and he's there. He's not always in the right positions, right? So we need a guy that can come in and cover. Which one of these guys on this in this draft from the list that we went through is the perfect piece for the problems that we have, and that's covering these tight ends? You know what? I'm going to give it to my man Schmidty first. Go ahead, Schmidty. Actually, before Schmidty starts, hold on a second. I got to give a shout out to my guy, John DeMarchi. John DeMarchi says, hey, go get Watt. He's on that Watt business. Then trade up for Xavier Collins. Needs size and length, front seven. Milano, great, but hurt a lot. Keep Feliciano and Williams. Restructure or release Morris. Get Watt and an LB. Then keep Josh upright. I'm with you. I think we're all with you. We want to keep Jack upright. Now, my man, Schmidty, talk to us. This list, who fits best on this team for the problems that we have? Who does it?
If coverage is the asterisk, which we all know it is in truth, and to Zach's point about the modern NFL, to Pierre's point about instincts, I have to go with Jibril Cox because, like I said, the first two things that come to mind when I watch Jibril Cox tape, when I break him down, when I look at what's being said about him, it's pursuit and coverage. Those are my big things. You want to talk about instincts, his anticipatory instincts of where the ball is going to go and where the route trees are going to develop is the best that I've seen on this list that we're discussing right now.
Right.
So Jibril Cox is my guy for what the Bills need.
Jibril Cox. Schmidty, you're with it. Zach, who do you got? Who is the best fit?
I'm going to say this. I remember Senior Bowl week, there were all these tweets coming out about the 1v1s in the practices, and there was someone who was consistently shown to neutralize the tight ends. His name is Hansa Nasiral. He is a tight end killer. And I would even add this observation that even if you don't go Nasiral, you go with the conventional linebacker route, most of these linebacking prospects we're talking about are like 2 to 3 inches taller than Milano is. So you're automatically going to get a little bit better on that because while you need to be able to cover well as well, but having that extra little bit of height at the top could be the difference between tipping, batting a ball down, and giving up a touchdown.
I like that. That's a good take. Now, Kevin, first of all, wipe that stupid smirk off your face, number one. That's number one.
Completely solemn.
Number two, who do you feel that this is a twofold question for you because you guys are, I don't want to say you guys are in need of a linebacker, but you could use some linebacker help. So, who do you on this list fit for the Bills and who potentially fits for your Dolphins?
I want Xavier Collins. And I would say that if I were the Bills, I'd want Xavier Collins. If I'm picking in the first round, like it's two different schemes, but I think he transcends. If I'm the Bills, it's the first round. I'm not looking for niche players. I'm looking for great players, right? And not to say none of the other guys mentioned won't be great. I'm just saying that to me, you do need help covering a tight end. You know what else you need help with? Pass rush. You know what else you need help with at the beginning of the year? You couldn't stop the run. You know what I mean? Like when Kansas City ran for 6,000 yards against you in the first matchup there. Like Collins is your 3-down linebacker that can help with all three phases. He can help pass rush. He can help against the run. He's 260 pounds. He gives you positional versatility with Trey Edmonds because now there is no middle linebacker. There's just two giant dudes in the middle that can run, right? You don't have to like break it down. You want positionless football. get two linebackers whose skills are almost identical. And I think Collins has better instincts, especially in coverage, than Edmonds does, because Edmonds is like 13 years old or whatever. But Collins is that guy. And when you talk about pass coverage, it's not just who can go out. If you want someone that can go out in the slot and cover Travis Kelce, then you take JOK. But if you want on a zone predominant team in the scheme that you run, you want length, you want guys that can take away the hook zones, you want guys that can drop, and you want guys that can make plays on the ball. And to me, Collins has shown that he can do all three phases. He's the most complete linebacker of the list that we have, in my opinion.
And I'm going to, and I don't like doing it. I hate doing it, but I'm going to agree with Mr. Smirk at the bottom of the screen. I do agree. I feel like we need a presence. I feel like we lack like that presence in the middle of the field. And I think if we bring in a guy like Zaven Collins, I think that solves that issue. His instincts is where to be. You don't have to be the greatest athlete, but if you can move, but you're instinctual to know where you're supposed to be and take away what has been killing us, and that's the tight end, then yes, we go with a Zaven Collins. Now, if by chance Zaven Collins is gone, I'm intrigued by this Hansa cat. I don't know. I gotta do more homework on him. I'm intrigued by it because he takes away what has been killing us, and that's the tight end. Yeah. We have Trey White that takes away the top receiver, right? Who knows what we're gonna do at cornerback too? Could it be Dane Jackson that takes over? Are we?
That's what Bean said.
Peterson. Who knows what's gonna happen? But tight end is what we need to take away, and we lost our best cover linebacker. So we've got to do something to at least not replace Milano per se, but we need to have something to do not only the dirty things of getting down and dirty, but covering. And Hansa might give us that ability, right? Don't forget, we still have Tyrell Dotson on the squad. We still have, I don't know what we're doing with Delshon Phillips. I'm not sure what's going on.
We have Duran Lee, who's never been used correctly in his entire career.
And I don't know, Kevin might have something to say about Darren Lee. He's not a big fan of Darren Lee. I know he's
yeah, but he's never been used correctly.
I didn't like him coming out of the draft. I was terrified that Miami was going to take him. Right. Terrified. Didn't like it.
Darren Lee might be, and I'm glad you brought that, Schmidty. Darren Lee might be someone that, I mean, that he was fast. He tweeted not too long ago that, something's in the works. So
yeah, I mean, he signed a reserve futures deal for a reason. He's still here for a reason. He's never been coached correctly in his life, and he works best in a McDermott system, plain and simple.
And we're gonna find out. So if Darren Lee is the guy that we say that takes over for the departed Milano potentially, maybe that hybrid type of what do you call Hansa might be the guy that we got to grab. But if we can for somehow land Zaven Collins, I'm taking that
to prove Rico and Kevin right. And I'm not about being right. I am. But if you guys are right, I'm not just going to say I'm right. Excuse me. But of the players that we've mentioned on this list, the only player on this list whose football IQ is mentioned on the Draft Network is Zaven Collins.
There you go. And I'll take that all day. John DeMarchi, I live in Miami Beach. Shout out to Kevin calling MIA 10-6 on the nose. Did you call 10-6, Kevin?
I'm going to say yes because it makes me sound smart.
All right. But, great show all. I'm going to say TYVM means talk to you. Or thank
you very much.
Thank you very much.
My wife of 19 years, I love her, is watching some British show on BBC and watching this save me. So listen, if we can save you from your wife watching some boring stuff on TV, more power to you. Stick with us. But we aren't going to stay on too long. I wanted you guys to get in and get out of your takes. It seems that
I have a quick question for Kevin, real quick. If we got like 30 seconds, Kevin, can you enlighten me on a little bit on Baker, linebacker for you guys?
Jerome Baker?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on him? And what's his situation?
He played really well this year. This year he really blossomed. I think we're well over 100 tackles. I want to say like 112. Had 7 sacks. Forced a couple fumbles. This was easily his best year of his career. Like he played.
Is he going to be signed long term? You think?
Probably. I would assume so. It's him and Gesicki are the next two that are probably up for extensions. I think he was. The funny thing is he would be better on your team than he is on mine because
what I was getting at.
Yeah. Because if Baker was a Buffalo Bill, he'd be an All-Pro.
You want to take Dawson Knox? We'll give you take Dawson. We'll take Baker.
I want to steal. I want to steal Jerome Baker so badly. I mean, when I wrote my piece for the AFC Championship, like Jerome Baker's the guy who had that sack on Mahomes, that 30-yard sack, and Jerome Baker is just so impressive in that film that I watched and other film that I watched of him over the season. And you know, I didn't know if I wanted to bring it up here in this video, but you know, Jerome Baker, I would absolutely love to have him. But I mean, I just wanted to get you to talk about him a little bit because he's an amazing player, and you guys have a true, you know, gold mine in him. So I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention.
I just want to say to Randy Hardman, I also like Davis from Kentucky, my friend. I did see that comment earlier, and I meant to
Davis.
I meant to say
Davis.
Yeah, for like later round.
I got you. Listen, guys, great show. Zach, I want you to let people know where they can find you, your next piece, because Zach is one of our writers at BF. And I don't know what you're working on next, but let the people know where they can find your stuff and what you're working on next.
Well, Eric and I are doing collaboration on some player profiles for offensive prospects. That comes out on Monday mornings on the BuffaloFanatics.com. Everyone probably already knows that, but I always got to say it. So, and my next Backseat GM column will come out in a couple weeks. I'm doing it bi-weekly so I can figure out some new topics that are front office related, but also compelling enough to actually say without repeating what everyone says. So,
Wonderful.
yeah.
Love it. Eric, what are you working on? What's your next piece?
Me and Zach are working on offensive prospect piece coming out Monday. It is going to be a wide receiver. I won't tell you who and spoil it, but it's going to be a wide receiver that's going to be coming out Monday morning. And I'm also doing some research for a couple other possible pieces. I'll give you more details on those as they come out. You can find me on Twitter at BF_spy. And follow the rest of these guys, too. I mean, if you're not following Rico, I don't even know if you're actually living.
Don't follow me. I'm boring.
If you're not following Kevin, you're really missing out. And if you're not following Zach, I don't know what to tell you. He's an assistant editor to the editor to the editor to the assistant to the assistant.
There you go.
Make sure you follow this guy. If you need managerial leadership coaching, all that kind of stuff, go to Zach. He knows everything all about that. Just make sure you see everything that BF's doing it, because nobody's doing it like we are. Boom.
Kev, Smirk, talk to us. Where can they find your blog? Where can they find your YouTube channel? Talk to everybody. I'm going to give you the grandstand. What's going on? Talk to us.
I don't even know what I'm doing here. Like Pierre just keeps inviting me, man. Like Pierre puts me in these chats. Like I got nothing going on. You know? I'm gonna go eat some steak there in a little bit. It's I just thought I was taking a video chat. Next thing I know, I'm on a draft show. I don't know.
So, listen, let's put it this way, Kev. It's been too long. We got to get back. We got to get together and start recording some stuff together. Gentlemen, it's been great. Thank you guys for coming out. Next week, we are going to have a new panel. You might see some same faces, but we're gonna try to switch it up every single week to give you guys new positions, new prospects to keep an eye out for, and what fits best for the Bills. You know damn right, when it comes to the running backs, I will be there to talk about the RBs. Right, Kevin?
Oh, absolutely.
I want to be there too.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but Rico really may have been a running back.
I may have played running back, so I may have some things to say about the running back position. I'm just saying. So, folks, I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Next week, I'm not sure who will be on, but we will announce it to let you guys know who will be on and the topics that we'll be hitting. Linebacker is a hot topic. It's not going to stop. I learned a lot from you guys today. I got to do more homework on Hansa. This Bolton guy, I got to do some more homework on him. But I'm really liking this Zaven Collins, man. This Zaven Collins is the real deal. So, gentlemen, have yourself a great night. Folks that have been watching, enjoy your night. This was the BF War Room with Erich Schmidt, the spy. I got my guy Zach to the bottom corner, and then I got Mr. Smirk, Kevin Guerard. You guys can follow all of these guys on Twitter and get their hot takes. And until next time, guys, this is the BF War Room, and we will see you next week with another prospect, and we'll go from there. You guys have a good night, and until next time, it's the BF War Room, and we are gone.